My day starts at about 5 o'clock in the morning with my three kids under the age of 6. But from a work perspective, after this, I jump straight into product.
I'm John Starr, advisor at Thorn,
I'm Pelez Halai, Senior Manager of Partnerships at Thorn.
and this is Safe Space.
What does your day-to-day look like? What do you have going on right after this? How does that differ from like a typical day in the life of Lauren?
Well, it's worth saying that my day starts at about 5 o'clock in the morning with my three kids under the age of 6. So that's where my day begins. But from a work perspective, after this, I jump straight into product. So I spend time with my engineering team. I spend time with my design team. I spend time with our communications team and our policy teams. We're constantly building and rolling out product. And so I'm deep in product specs and Figmas and really thinking about kind of the next iteration of product that will ship. So lots of meetings, lots of docs, lots of design.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm rushing over here from the daycare drop off myself, so I know the feeling. Thanks for sharing. So every conversation here on Safe Space starts with the same question: what did you, as a child, want to be when you grew up?
I think until I went to college, I wanted to be a doctor. And in high school, I became interested in neuroscience in particular, but I was pretty set on being a doctor, basically until I took my first chemistry class in college. And then that was over. But it was medicine for much of my childhood.
So your professional story starts as an entrepreneur and a founder. I'm really curious to know how kind of those early endeavors shaped your work today and how it influences your approach to trust and safety.
My kind of early career from a very young age was entrepreneurial in nature. I started a fashion blog in 2007, well before they were cool. Started a flat fashion blog early on and did that all the way through college and started a number of companies and worked at early stage companies. And the thing that was fairly consistent all the way through those experiences was serving populations that were largely underserved. So I am a plus size woman. I'm Latin. I have history that makes me a population that is not typically served. And so my professional journey all the way through, whether it was starting my own companies or otherwise, was always serving populations that were underserved, whether it was plus size women or children in many instances.
That is a really interesting tie, perhaps, to your time in trust and safety. Make that connection for us as that neuroscience drive, that fashion drive to serve. How does that connect in the space of trust and safety for you?
So one of the reasons that I spent a number of years building for plus size women is the plus size community, particularly in the United States, is more often than not a community that is lower income, lower socioeconomically advantaged, participates less in the gig economy, and more often than not is a community of color. And that was me, right? That was me in many instances. And so it wasn't just sort of much of my entrepreneurial journey wasn't just building consumer products for that community because it was interesting. It was building products for that community to serve them. And kind of that connection point came my sort of final entrepreneurial journey came in sort of between 2017 and 2020. I built a company that was particularly focused on plus size women and advantaging them kind of socioeconomically. That led me to a major tech company. And at that company, I had built for kids before. I'd built consumer products for kids before and was asked to sort of continue that work at that larger company. And it's the same drive. It's the same motivation. It's the same, community of people that are not often the primary audience. And so it felt like sort of a pretty natural segue, whether it was for kids or plus size women, it was a pretty natural segue. And it really is using my skill set to benefit and support. And so that's sort of really the connective tissue. The neuroscience was me being a geek in high school more than anything else.
I love that. This is just part of the conversation with Lauren Jonas. You can watch more highlights and catch the full Safe Space episode right here.